Hey guys, welcome back to the compound. As you can see here, I have another Pyroraptor on the workbench today, and that's because I've teamed up with Rod's Random Work and Gary Surratt to spotlight Rod's latest 3D printed wings for the Mattel Pyroraptor figure. These wings are available on Gary's Etsy store. Link will be down below in the description box if you want to grab a set. As for the repaint, I wanted to do something a little different with this figure. Since I already repainted one with a movie-inspired deco before, you can check that video out here if you want to. I thought it would be fun to sort of get a little crazy with this guy and give him the Chaos Effect Alpha Raptor deco. I love the colors on the Chaos Effect Raptor, and I think it'll look pretty cool on this Pyro, kind of like a tropical exotic bird kind of thing. So before we start slinging paint, I do need to prep the neck joint real quick. I covered this before in several videos, especially with figures that have this type of disc articulation, but I'll run through it again real quick in case you missed it. First, I like to take an X-Acto knife and carefully trim away the plastic from around the inside of the neck. And since the head is going to be primarily painted black, I'll take my Dremel, carefully sand down the disc joint, and then dye the plastic with black ink. That way the paint doesn't rub off when I move it around. And with all that boring stuff done and out of the way, we can finally start to throw some paint down on this guy. I'll also put Amazon links to the paints I'm using in this video in case you want to grab them, so you can have the same colors on hand that I'm using. But of course, everything that I do use is optional. Just use whatever you have access to. So I'll be laying down my base blue skin tone using the airbrush and Createx light blue. If you don't have an airbrush, just base coat this as you normally would with just a regular paintbrush. Thin the paint, apply a couple of thin coats until you get a nice even finish. Next layer going down is the darker fade on the top part of the figure, and for that I'll be mixing indigo and magenta together to make a bluish purple color, and then I'll just lightly apply that over the top part of the figure. Next up, I'll grab some Vallejo blue wash and wash it all over the figure. This, combined with a nice light blue dry brushing after the wash has dried, will help make all of the feathery details in the sculpt really stand out. Now with all the wash done, it's time to grind out all of the black deco, and this part is pretty straightforward. I'm just starting off on the tip of the tail and working my way down or up to the head, and trying to roughly copy the design on the Chaos Effect Raptor while also playing off of the sculpt of the Pyroraptor. Since they are both, they're different sizes, different shapes and sculpts and stuff like that, not everything is going to fit, so I'm going to have to sort of condense it, bring it down a little bit to fit on this little guy. But if you need reference pictures, you can always screenshot mine at the end of the video to help you kind of get through this if you're planning on doing this custom. All right, so I've got most of the black done, and I'm going to grab some Vallejo Sky Blue, and I'm going to start to paint in some of the light blue patterns and details on the face. With all that done, we'll go ahead and paint in all of the other little details, starting with the claws on the feet, and those will get a coat in matte black. I'll then hit the inside of the mouth with my flesh mix, and then carefully pick out the teeth with some off-white. Next up, I'm going to grab some bright orange, and I will hold my breath for this and fill in the eyes with the orange, and then add a black slit and a white light catch to bring those eyes to life. Alright, so the last little thing that we need to paint are the yellow and green stripes along the back. Now, yellow can sometimes be a total pain to paint, so I decided to try using a higher quality acrylic paint instead of the standard apple barrel stuff that I would normally use. So I grabbed a set of Army Painters acrylics, and the yellow in this set has way better coverage than the apple barrel yellow paint does. So if you want to take out some of the headache painting certain colors, I recommend grabbing a bottle of high-end paint and try it out. The Army Painters box set is a bit pricey, but honestly it's worth it to not have to deal with the poor coverage the cheaper craft paints sometimes have. And speaking of poor coverage, I'm going to have to turn to Apple Barrel for the green accent stripes since I don't have a high-end paint of this color on hand. This green is awful and requires multiple coats to fill it in. If I had thought about it ahead of time, I would have grabbed a bottle of like Citadel Moot Green for this, but I didn't, so we're gonna have to just roll with it. So with all the paint done, now it's time to outfit this Raptor with Rod's wings to really take it to the next level. These wings are very simple to put on, just requires a little super glue along the arm, and then you just kind of line it up and press it into place. And I've already got them attached, so all that's left to do is paint them. And I've already painted the inside of the wings just before I glued them on, just to make it a little bit easier and not having to try to get up there with the paintbrush and paint them while they're attached, because there's really not a whole lot of room to work with. But now that they're attached, the insides are painted, and the painting process is the same as the body before. We're just going to base coat it in a light blue and then wash the wings with the Vallejo Game Wash, and then wait for it to dry, and then dry brush it with a light blue to bring all the highlights up. I'll then finish it off with a couple of coats of matte varnish to lock all of the paint in, and this Alpha Pyroraptor is done. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video and you found the information provided useful and inspiring. If you want to grab a set of these wings for your custom, they are available on Gary's Etsy store. The link for them will be in the description box below, as well as Rod and Gary's Instagram pages. Be sure to follow them to stay up to date on all of the cool Jurassic stuff they have available. And as always, if you need more Jurassic related content, you know where to find me. Links will be in the description box below. You guys take care, and I'll see you around the compound.